coming back to your art, which we spoke about the metal side, the beads, and then bark cloth. What's the story behind
bark cloth? Bark cloth is very ancient. Bark cloth has always been our form of give us the fabric that we wore. Bark cloth has in it has properties that suit situations like burial.
Okay.
Yeah, the bark cloth will be used for burial because it will dry up the body and embalm the body.
Oh, naturally.
Naturally.
Okay.
Because it will take all the juices out of the person, and then this person will remain whole.
Okay.
And the bark cloth.
So the body would be wrapped
in many pieces of bark cloth.
Okay.
And then it will be transported, and it was used because if I was living in Somalia and they have bark cloth and I died there, we would have our burial grounds. When you have burial grounds, it worked very well because they would have to bring you back to your home burial ground after 10 years even, but then you'll be whole.
The body was still...
Yeah. You'll be buried and then dig it out. You still be... The pharaohs used bark.
I was about to ask, did they use it?
Absolutely. Okay. It was found in the pyramids. And this came from south, the areas that had forests. So bark cloth making and bark cloth as an anti-mosquito, it repels mosquitoes. Bark cloth is so interesting because it could be old, and if you ironed it after many, many years, it still has some scent from the tree skin.
Wow.
And so that, so it's a very interesting cloth. I've used it all my life as an artist, and I love it.
So, and how did you get into it?
Bark cloth?
Yes.
Of course, like this book says, I started working after my secondary school for the Ministry of Culture and Community Development in Uganda as a young man in a very humble way.
Yes.
And then raised slowly into the ranks. And while I was there, we were buying bark cloth and selling bark cloth. There was... our countries were, soon after independence, were looking at self-identity, self-projection. And they were looking at the villages and looking at people, what they did and what they could. How do you identify yourself as a Ugandan? You're now independent. Many presidents put on their Kaunda suits and the Nyerere suits. And Seko had his hat.
The whole leopard thing.
You know, Kenyatta had this fly whisks.
And he has like abacus. Remember, abalik.
Absolutely. So that period was very, very interesting because I was involved in community activities in the countryside that produced crafts that would go into a ministry shop and then sold to tourists. Tourism was new and tourists were interested. And then there was the export of the same crafts. And so I met bark cloth. But of course, it was very interesting when my family moved to Uganda and my father was working on a tea plantation as a foreman. And we were given this house that was in the village with banana trees and the mivumu trees. The mivumu is this ficus tree that produces bark cloth. And funny enough, this house, the people before, were producers of bark cloth.
So, like randomly?
Absolutely. We arrived, and as children, we were running around in in the plantation, and we found mallets, beautiful mallets, old, eaten by ants. And so we started to play with them. We didn't know what they were.
Of course.
Eventually, people told us what they were.
Okay.
And but they made marks in the compound, and we would roll them onto the soil, and they were very interesting. So, but barcloth was made in all these regions, including Rwanda, for many years as fabric.
Fascinating.
So that's how I met it, and I love it.
And you stuck with it.
I'm stuck with it because, in a way, it is it's a tree skin. And for some reason, I feel that trees have given us the oxygen, they give us the wood we need, they give us much more the water, they purify the water. The motuba tree will grow into a banana plantation, and the bananas will be big, or the coffee beans will be big, and they will be tasty because of those trees. So I feel the paper, having come from trees, returns to the barcloth. We stitch it to the barcloth as a way of bringing back the original spirit of it.
I didn't even think of it.
Yeah.
Paper and wood.
Paper is a wood product.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so
absolutely. So kind of full circle.
Full circle. It's almost like a dead person having been buried in barcloth. Barcloth receives the dead, and so it receives the recycled.
It's amazing.
The discarded paper.
Did you read this book, The Secret Lives of Trees?
I would love to read it.
Oh my God! So I have a present for you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So basically, the author is explaining how trees are people.
Absolutely, yeah.
And one of the things that stuck with me, to never chop down an old tree, because he or she stays up, nourishing and feeding roots for the youngsters.
For the youngsters, yeah.
So if you want to kill a forest, chop down the old trees.
Quite.
I mean, makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And some trees give more to others. I always imagine, especially if you go to a place like Nyungwe, you have been?
Nyungwe, I haven't.
Oh my God.
No,
so my favorite
I'd
place
love
on
to
this
go there.
planet, not country.
Yeah.
So you walk the forest and you think, in these forests, these trees, they existed before Ice Age. Yes, it's an ancient forest.
God.
And it's still very pristine. If they could speak what they have seen and survived, and they still have the species of birds as well, before they existed before Ice Age. I mean, it's no surprise that this is like the lung of the country, but also for the region, the water that comes from there. And then when you breathe in Nyungwe, you just breathe differently.
Yes.
Everything is different.
I would imagine.
And I kept thinking, you know, we tell kids, we tell people, preserve nature, preserve the forest, but if they don't experience it,
Yes.
you don't fall in love.
You don't fall in love with it.
You don't fall in love. So
Yes.
I'm so fascinated with you working with bark and paper. I didn't even see the connection until you just mentioned.
The connection is very much there. I sent you some pictures of
Yes.
things.
Can we look?
Yeah.
Can we have a look? I was
We're
about to.
Yeah.
So. You need glasses?
Yes.
To browse through.
Yes. These are, rings from a sellotape that I pick up from companies, that, DHL. Whenever I send my artwork through DHL, the guy there, I told him to pick up all these things, and he gives me this, and of course makes beautiful patterns. But look at this eucalyptus tree. This eucalyptus tree,
I see faces.
there are many faces in there. Not only faces, skin, the body of
Wrinkles.
this tree, wrinkles. It's like an old man,
Old lady.
old lady with hanging skin and all that. You know, fabulous. Look at this. You know, I mean, age. That's
Like
great.
really it's skin.
Yeah.
It literally is skin.
So I get very, look at how elegant this palm has. Looks like a lady, a model.
So true.
So, you know,
Upright.
and straight and yeah. These are things I see as I'm walking, and you know, this sort of dyed flowers, but the unity, togetherness. There could be children, or there could be, you know, they're like dried up. You know, I collect dried.
The red here.
Oh, flowers, twins. I see unity, the togetherness. There's this. It's important to have. I think there's always a double to somebody.
Pair.
A pair. The pair is important to us. They don't live in isolation, you know. So, and this is another tree.
This one now I see an animal face.
It has a huge animal face.
Like the eyes,
yeah.
like a rhino.
Yeah, with the mouth open and it's like a rhino. So nature gives us these amazing ideas for art and so on, you know. And we see them. There's like spirits. Sorry, yeah.
Shadows.
The shadows, yeah. Shadows are very, very important. Yeah. You see shadows, and I mean, they're so abstract. Yeah. They suggest things. I love this tree. This is at my father-in-law's house.
Okay.
It has a body of a woman
With
the arms and maybe a hand there, and you know, it's
hair.
like a hair, you know, beautiful. I love this tree. Sorry.
Can just if you stay on it, you just swipe there.
Yes, right. This is
Oh. This is you working?
we're working with some people. Yeah, we were doing a workshop with some artists and pulped paper, and we're building faces onto sculptures in the village. Yeah, and these are some of the women
You work with?
I was training in Kisoro, and we had a big training on mat making, because my work with the community, when I'm asked to go to a community, is to add value to what they make, because a lot of our crafts are still raw. They're regarded as lower material, lower art. And so if you add value to them, because they're handmade, and that time somebody puts in, just put more time, but add value to how the designs are, the thickness of the material, and you know, they were specialists in making big, huge mats for drying coffee. But the very same material makes beautiful weaving on furniture, which was not used before.
Oh, wow.
And it can also be used for other things, you know. So anyway, that's my work. These are paper that are cut, just ready to be used to.
National Geographic?
Yeah, use natural. They have very good, colorful paper.
Oprah magazine?
Oprah magazine, they make very good beads, beautiful beads. So that's.
What I see through the way you look at these pictures is part of it is your gaze.
Yeah.
There's the first layer and then the second layer and then
Yes, the artist has an eye for things, and the artist always says things. I don't know what to call it. They see beauty. We see beauty. Everybody does, actually. It's just that our condition, we're conditioned differently. But you have to see beauty in everything. Nature is nothing but beauty. There's
nothing to discard.
no.
But now I'm a bit obsessed with this bark cloth and paper and paper beads. Also the way you looked at these pictures. I mean, as a child also, I think I still have it. I would look at things, or I would look at the forest, or I would look at a flower and see patterns.
Yeah.
When I think anything you pay attention to long enough, you see layers. There's the first, there's the what comes first at face value, and then
details.
And details, and then you start imagining.
Yes.
I guess your imagination wanders.
You put your mind into it.
I don't think this will be recorded, but I had an experience with mushrooms.
Yes.
A small dose. And then literally it was the first time I would look at the trees and see them and hear them breathing.
Okay.
And then flowers opening and closing. Then I thought maybe some people live like that all the time because it heightens the senses.
Yes, nature heightens the senses anyway. Let the mushrooms are more pronounced. There's a book called The Mushroom and the Cross.
Okay, I don't know.
This book is an amazing book. It talks about how religions were formed and from the mushroom, and how the mushroom, because of that power.
So the psychedelics.
They cut it psychedelic. So actually, if you see the mushroom, the stem of the mushroom, into the mushroom like that, because you can take it off.
The hat.
Yeah, the hat.
Yeah.
The hat is incredibly designed.
Patterned.
The patterns inside are amazing. Some of these mushrooms are poisonous. The mushroom has... So this was developed in the Eastern countries, in the early Eastern countries. The mushroom was actually a religious plant that caused, to the extent where the cross on the mushroom, the cross came from the mushroom. Because if you do the Christian cross like that, just put the hat on, it's a mushroom.
It's the first time I make the connection. I read many books about psychedelics and mushrooms, and I think across Latin America for sure. It's a spiritual teacher, even like a master teacher. Because of the visions you gain and insights.
This writer was an Oxford lecturer, professor it's called John Allegro.
Let's check it
out.
And
that book had him excommunicated. He was a canon. And
he was looking for trouble.
Looking for trouble. But he left us to learn more about our own. We create from what we see, and what we feel, and what influences us.
Do you know of or think that in our region also people consumed psychedelics?
We knew for mushrooms.
For worshipping or?
It's possible. I don't know very much, but all I know, mu Kinyarwanda, baravuga ngo ibihumyo birahumana.
Ibihumyo
is
the mushroom.
The mushroom. Kind of. There are some that are
poisonous.
And what they do, those poisons. Kuhumana, you know what it is?
Oui.
Yeah. So that is one thing that is related to the mushroom.
Interesting.
The mushroom has always been there in the power that it is. Now, the most interesting part of it is that the mushroom when you see it, there is a lot of color that
Yes.
comes out of
Yes.
it. Purple, red, and this mushroom, this man who wrote this book, mentions that the color of the mushroom was picked to create this religious gowns. The color of the Christians, they call it the not yeah.
Anyway, the priest's gown.
The gowns, yeah.
Yes.
There is this red, and it is very much related to the menstrual blood color, which is the mushroom. Well, there's all sorts of relationships.
Oh my God!
That
I
are
will
created
check out
around the
book.
mushroom.
I'll check out the book. No, mushrooms now are going through a big revival.
Yeah. So there is a lot to do with the
And fiber as well, you know,
colour,
the mycelium. British designer Stella McCartney, who prides herself not using animal skins for her bags and shoes and everything.
Yeah.
She uses, now it's patented, a fiber that is from mushrooms. It's mycelium, leather, mushroom leather.
Okay.
I have bags. Shall I show you? I have many bags from her, and
Yeah.
you don't. If you don't know, you would think it's animal skin. It's leather. I think it has becoming. It probably is the next innovation in fashion.
In fashion. Amazing.
Using vegetable fibers,
Yes.
which seem to be more resilient, beautiful. You know, you don't use all these dyes. You don't do all these treatments that people use in. When you use the animal skins.
Yes.
So it's a big field of innovation. It's amazing. Well, you were ahead of the curve. Yes, maybe for the
Could we just have
final segment
sure,
of our conversation,
Yes, sure.
I want to go back on textiles and bark
It is.
and also natural pigments, which fascinates me. And what I was mentioning to you earlier on, the movement of migrations of human beings in this continent and the ancient narrative that, for instance, here you would have a group of people who have originated from Egypt or north coming to here.
Yes.
All science now agrees that the movement was rather from this region, going to many parts, but including Egypt. So which could have been the route that the bark cloth took from this region to, let's say, the pharaohs. We had to tell a story, and then the pharaohs were black, which is one of the main theses in Cheikh Anta Diop's work. As well as Chester Higgins, who I mentioned to you, came looking at, he wanted to understand and know more about ancient Rwanda, the Nyambo cows, but equally the fibers we used, because he knew a bit of the tradition in embalming the bodies in ancient Egypt. So he wanted to draw parallels and understand. I thought that back in the days before modern clothing, we had skin, animal skin, but I understand it was also bark cloth.
Incredible. I mean, bark cloth actually was very, very much used in Congo, northern Congo, in all those parts of southern Sudan, Buganda, the kingdoms of Bunyoro that came from the north. They were very powerful. I don't know very much about the factual incidences and dates or whatever, but Bunyoro kingdom was very influential in all these other kingdoms that were down here, and they came with science of medicines and operations and other things. They recorded, those are in books and so. But bark cloth went up to Egypt, and it's clear that it was used there. And there were no trees at that time.
Yes.
I don't think
Yes.
there's any tuba tree. Because I have a collection of bark cloth. A piece can be 7 meters long.
Oh, wow.
One piece,
Wow.
7 meters. And there are smaller versions that are 4 pieces, 2.5 pieces, 2.5 meters. Those are smaller trees. The trees are getting smaller and smaller.
These days?
Yeah, these days. The mutuba tree was used for boats, making boats. It is used for making stools, carving, but very light, not like, say, mahogany or movule, but it was a very utilitarian kind of tree.
Okay.
At home, firewood and so on. But the tree itself had this power. And if you go to the traditional places, like in the Nyanza, for example, you'll find trees like Chinyarwanda baitu murehe, murehe, or ijiko, or muvumu. Those 3 trees are very much used and planted in the gateways of because they protect the spiritual protections. They have spiritual protections, which we don't understand. I don't understand, but the tradition has it that they are. They have protection. They protect us.
Last night, I was chatting with a young Rwandan lady who is producing a show across Europe, and it's Omuko. Omuko.
Yeah.
And it's around the tree,
Yes.
which she says it's her childhood tree. And she calls it Arbre à Savoir, so it's a tree of knowledge. Yeah. But interestingly enough, all these trees also are the similar, you could trace them also in the Eastern traditions. The fig tree under which the Buddha reached enlightenment is the same tree. So how I find it so fascinating how it is exactly the same tree.
It's in medicine that the jiko comes to become very powerful. Because when dogs died, or pets in Rwanda tradition,
Yes.
they were buried by the jiko.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I saw, and I don't know why. But ejiko is a powerful tree. And also, medicine people, whenever they wanted to get rid of the medicines, the sicknesses from people, they took the sicknesses to jiko. I had a brother who was a medicine man. He died, but...
So was it something in your family or just your brother?
It was something in my family,
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So he would always take some medicines, some samples from people to jiko.
Okay.
So there is some.
So I would be, let's
there's
say,
a lot
coughing.
of research we have to do.
Okay, I'm coughing, I'm sick.
Yeah.
So he would take what?
Take the spit.
The spit to the tree and then transfer it to the tree.
Yeah.
Then the tree would take it
Well,
out of my body.
No, yeah.
What's the transfer?
Yeah, that's
so the tree would take the illness and give me vitality?
Absolutely. Because one sickness that I know, which is called inzibji.
Which is?
Inzibji
What
is like a
condition?
cancerous thing.
Okay.
That it comes, people get sick and they get boils. And the boil.
So it's a skin condition?
It's a bone it's an internal condition that manifests in a boil.
Okay.
And you may treat the boil here, but it will come back in another way. And if somebody getting really serious, sick, they'll get 2, 3, 4, 5 boils on their body. And they're really, and they're kills.
So it's a cancer?
It's a cancer.
Okay.
I used to treat it by taking with the honor knife, taking that pus
from
the body, squeezing the
Okay.
pus from the body on a knife and dry it on a knife. So this dries on the knife, and then for purposes of keeping, he will then go to the tree. Now, I don't want to say that it's this tree or this tree or this tree,
But to
because
the
I
tree.
don't want to divert.
Okay.
And he will take that knife to the tree, and he will get into the bark with the knife and clean the pus into the tree skin, bark. And he'll say some words and go, "Vamujiti jamondo,"
Wow. Leave the tree.
and
get
go into a person.
Go to the man.
It's the other way around, yeah. And I've seen people healed.
It was probably an energy
I mean,
transfer. Energy
I don't know what it
transfer.
is.
Looks
but
like
yes, absolutely.
Looks like
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Look like
So trees are really important in that way.
it's amazing.
We lived with them, we know them, they did things for us.
They outlived many human beings.
Yeah, they cured so many of us, and we still need them. Yeah. And anyway, coming back to in Karamoja, for example.
Yes.
Karamoja, not only Karamoja, Ethiopia, and Sudan, you find people with headrests,
Yes.
little headrests, you know, where the man has an elaborate hairstyle, but also sitting. They're looking after cows, or they've got to work in the garden. They rest, or they sit on it, or they lie down, and it holds there.
Under the head.
That headdress is very much Egyptian. The Egyptian used it for their
I mean,
daily
it's
life.
very much ours, and then
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Egyptians
Yeah, yeah.
took it.
Yeah, very, very much.
It's the other way around.
Whichever way around it is.
It's the other way around.
It works for us.
Amazing.
Because I have some headdress. I have headdress.
collect them?
From Turkana people. I have a headdress from the Karamojong. I have a headdress from Ethiopia. And they are the same. And the same headdress you found in the pyramids, they're the same.
Oh, if you could take a picture and send it to me,
I'll do that.
we would illustrate this conversation.
I'll write it. Remember
Yes,
to
I will remind you. I will
Yeah.
remind you, because we are very much talking about the process through which craft, art, and spiritual traditions spread.
Yeah.
Most of the colonial story has it that they came to us, and everything
came
seems to have come from here.
I
From
believe
here.
they believe they come
Certainly,
from
certainly.
here.
Yeah. And I wanted also so you have so many hats within your art. The metal goldsmith part, the bark cloth, the paper bits, and then pigment. What part does pigment play in your work?
The pigment, I met the pigment from the traditional, well, you know, in traditional art, you found people who were dyeing fibers like sisal.
Yes.
Like they used to use berries from trees. Some of it were boiled before and put salt to
have
make
the
them
color
permanent.
stick?
To make them permanent on the cloth. There are many pigments. At the moment, I'm using pigments from a vegetable.
Okay.
This vegetable will give you green to begin with. Now, if you add if you add rock salt
Okay.
to the solution,
Yes.
you'll get black.
Oh wow.
Yes, you'll get black.
Okay.
Now, if you add ash, you get purple.
Interesting.
And
Interesting.
yeah, it's a very
And then the
interesting.
color would stick in the fiber.
And the color would stick in the fiber. These are the fibers, the dyes that are used in basketry in places like Bufumbira, Musanze here in the olden days, that I know because I've seen them there.
Yes.
There are certain tree barks that give you orange. They can give you yellow. There are plants that give you yellow as well. And these are things we used, and we are planting them now so that we can use them for. On my pepper beads, if I use dyes,
Yes.
you'll see the letters, but the bead will become yellow, but you can see the letters. It's
Through.
very light through. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
So I use dyes to dye the beads.
Interesting.
Sometimes.
I'm fascinated also by the fact that natural dyes, I brought this to show you. This is my friend Abubakar, who even the cotton, it's grown there and then they weave it there. Yeah. And these things, I had it for 25 years. This is even longer. The more you wash it, the more beautiful it becomes.
Yes.
But the blue, the color will not change. And for him, the indigo, the lighter shades of indigo are the hardest to get. It has like vats with mushrooms in it.
Yeah.
It's a fermentation process.
Yeah. Yes. There's a lot people will have to experiment with. I think we need.
It uses mud as well.
Mud is very common because, like, say, if you're making milk pots, if in Uganda we make these sort of milk pots out of wood, this color, then you put them in mud for swamp mud for a while. You pull them out and they're absolutely black. That mud, you put the fabric in.
Yes.
The same mud you put backcloth in, you take it out and it's absolutely black.
Fabulous.
Yeah, the kings of Bunyoro used to wear the black
tunics.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And very
Interesting.
very beautiful. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm trying to again coming back to what you do, and the central piece that the communities and people occupy, and what you, the education you provide. Is there anything important that we did not mention? Usually when we do these kitchen summits, we actually use pictures brought by the guests as a thread into the conversation. And the pictures would mean something, would mean like important moments or important features of one's life. Is there anything you feel like we have missed?
One thing is, because we work with the community, we get time to talk or to share food sometimes, especially when we have visitors. And this is the time, sometimes I ask the women to bring what they themselves
Want to share
with us. Could be a piece of something they learned about, like dried flowers. In my case, there's somebody came to the village one time and taught these women how to dry leaves and dry flowers.
Wonderful.
And they bring to show us. Others will make a little handbag for their child or something, or they experiment on something and they bring to show us. So, which is good. And then, of course, we share stories, we share songs, we share poetry. And it's very, very interesting when I bring artists from the city, different types of artists. We come, we meet the groups in the community. We kill a goat and we owe something, and they'll cook and
it's
so
a
on.
feast.
It's a feast, yeah. And then the artists would want to wander around the village to see how it is and so on. And then at the end, we have a feast. And then we do these things. We communicate with,
You exchange
fun.
knowledge.
We exchange knowledge, absolutely.
You're bringing it to me. My name has become my brand,
Yes.
Munyeshuri,
Yes.
and I feel it's really literally my middle name. That curiosity has always been a driving force in my life. And through these conversations with, in the podcast, in the kitchen summits,
Yeah.
it's what interests me the most is the process of learning from one another. And so our last question is a staple question in this podcast, in Kitchen Summits. What are you a student of presently, right now?
I'm a student of history. I like to know more about African history and the world history as such. Because when I was in Japan, I went to Japan when I was very young, and I saw CEOs going to their offices in their driven cars. They have a driver, but they go into the car and they're carrying a little bamboo package with a little string, very similar to what I used to carry to school for my lunch.
Your lunchbox,
In my lunchbox.
so to speak.
Yeah, here is the CEO of a company carrying this bamboo basket and going to work. That made me really, it's like sharing the music with the women in the village. With the gap, we closed the gap.
You bridge the gap.
We bridged the gap. So I learned history for purposes of bridging gaps. I'd very much like to see the similarities among people that will bridge our gaps.
And with Japan, it's striking, I still do not understand. There are so many similarities with our culture.
Yes.
And it's so far away. It's so
Yeah,
remote.
absolutely, yeah. My name's Sanaa. You'll find it in Yemen, you'll find it in Senegal, you find it in Gambia, you find it in Mombasa, Zanzibar, and you find it here. So there is a need, and funny enough, the meaning of it is very similar.
Really?
Some people, like in the north, in Egypt, they may say something shining. Here, gusana is to
repair.
repair.
To repair.
And others are very much related to light, and in the West Africa.
Okay.
In Ethiopia, I've been trying to follow up.
To research your name.
Yeah.
Do you know, you should look for the work of the late Professor Kimenyi, who was a linguist, and who established the unicity of Bantu languages.
Oh, I love it.
I think most of his books are, you can't buy them new.
Kimenyi.
Alexander Kimenyi. He was in Sacramento. He lived in Sacramento for the longest. But you can check out his website.
No.
Oh, you will be fascinated by his work.
Yes, I'll be very interested.
You will be fascinated. So he taught, he was a professor of linguistics in London. Fortunately, not anymore with us. Oh, I've learned so much. Now I want to research more.
Me too.
Definitely around the trees.
Yeah.
To kind of understand what makes the fig tree
Yes.
so special across civilizations and across time, actually.
Yeah. The interesting part about trees, the cross section of the tree, if you cut it and actually you blow it up on a microscope or something, they're like veins with blood.
They say veins, right? We say even veins.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's my next project.
Oh, that's a scoop.
I would love to actually research more on the tree, on the inner parts of the tree.
So I will get for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to call them, if they have it, the Secret Lives of of trees.
I would love to.
You would love it. You would love it. They're very social beings.
Okay.
So I think that's the social part.
Yeah.
So thank you for spending your time with
You're very
me
welcome.
and with the camera,
Yeah.
with a bit of structure. I wish we would, spend hours in all directions.
I know. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.